Well, the president of this country went viral this week. When he went, like when I say he went viral, he made the news. When he went to Rwanda, attend the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting 2020. The most recent one in the neighborhood, I think, was in Uganda. What made the news is the way he was welcomed in a state with whom we've recently had round. This is forging peace. This is very good, by the way. He was welcomed very warmly. He was given a welcome that he may not be given in some parts of Kampala. This is true.
Let me tell you one thing, and I watched this at least when President Museveni had just won, and of course we know he was declared as the president of Uganda following the 2021 presidential elections. So I was in Kampala, and he was coming from Entebbe, heading to Nakasero State House. I surely know what was happening in Kampala. I saw the entire of Entebbe Road. You know, this is what the media does not show. People were lining up, as to whether they were lining up to watch an angel or, a Satan angel.
They were saying he is a political failure because they were.
And look here, people were excited. People were excited. There were those that were making relations from all over that Entebbe Road. I mean, up to State House, Nakasero, people were on the roadside. So someone to think that President Museveni might not attract numbers if it was meant to.
I don't know whether you've quoted me very well.
Being
I have said that he was giving a very warm welcome. He may not be given in some parts of Kampala.
Okay, in some parts of Kampala. You could be right. But yes, now let's look at him being in Rwanda. Of course, we know for sure him as President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has got roots in Rwanda. So I believe in this song of the late, that is Lucky Dube, I'm going back to the roots. So he went back to the roots. And we should know that President Museveni is one of the architects in making the new and peaceful Rwanda, where Rwandese had suffered a lot to do with death as a result of Rwanda's genocide. He's the one who was behind that architecture. He's the one who brought in himself, that is the President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame, into the political drive of Rwanda as Rwanda's president. So at the end of the day, that the Rwandese treat him as one of their beloved sons. If of anything, to me, I think they treat him as their own godfather. And it is not a surprise that this treatment, we saw it coming. I've normally told people, this person who no longer votes, but I speak the truth, and for the truth will always set me free. I've talked to some people, not so many people, beat the Kenyans at one point in time when Kenya was under the leadership of the predecessor to Uhuru. Those Kenyans I met stated if there was any chance at all, they would exchange their president then, if I'm not mistaken anyway, if you are not as well, that they would exchange their president for Uganda and they take President Museveni to Kenya. So at times you cannot appreciate what you have, and yet other people might do appreciate. We know he has got his faults, and number one of his faults is overstaying in power, but one might not dispute at all that President Museveni is the giant of East Africa.
Let's dig into the history of Uganda and Rwanda. How do they come to be? Somewhat, to a certain extent, sisters. One is that Rwanda lies in the southwest of Uganda, sharing borders with Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, and Tanzania. In 1959, they had a revolution, and it was okay. They had a massacre. They've always had massacre politics. They had a massacre, and it was between the Tutsi and the Hutu. This time around, the Tutsi were expelled by the Hutu, and in one of the countries they sought refuge was Uganda. So these Tutsi, they were nobles, like before then they were nobles. Yes, so I was telling you that in one of the countries they went to seek refuge was Uganda and Tanzania. These nobles went out and did a lot of work that was not meant for them. That is what they believed. And in 1986, as President Museveni was going into a war that liberated Uganda from the hands of Apollo Milton Obote, the 1986 liberation war, that it started as early as 1980.
Yes.
These Tutsis, including Paul Kagame himself, the current president of the Republic of Rwanda, joined hands with President Museveni, and they ousted Obote. Now, just 8 years later, if I'm not mistaken, President Museveni joined hands with Paul Rwigema, with Fred Rwigema, and Paul Kagame. They went back to retaliate, and this was a mission impossible. It would not fail, because this was now an independent state. This is Uganda, and by then, President Habyarimana Juvenile was the president of Rwanda. When these people went, he was ousted, and Kagame took over power. Uganda had a good relationship with Rwanda at the start, up to just of recent, when it was threatened by, I think, espionage issues. Both were saying, this one is spying me, this one is sending me spy. Eventually, borders were closed, and anyone of Ugandan origin, whenever they were seen in Rwanda, they would be seen as a threat, and
vice versa.
So later on, we saw the first son in Uganda. He went to Rwanda. He tried to forge relationship. He tried to reconcile these two people, and we later saw the borders being opened. To our advantage, everything is now okay with Uganda and Rwanda. The Commonwealth heads of government meeting comes, because we saw President Kagame here. I don't remember. It was on President. It was on. I had called him President Moros. It was on the first son's birthday when President Kagame brought back his body here in Uganda since the whole scuffle, and it is just of recent, I think this very week, that we've ended, when we saw President Museveni going back to.
I need your question. I've been waiting.
I have a very obvious question. Do we have a future with this very good relationship that now looks to be so good? Because when you look at, by the way, we were like, Ugandans were affected by the tension between Uganda and Rwanda, just like the Rwandans were. Does this relationship have future? Because with me, I am not seeing any change in the things that brought tension the other time. They can bring it anytime. That's what I think.
But anyway, you've made very long submission in your asking of the question, but I would want to say, good enough you stated it is a question that calls for an obvious answer. The thing is that as brothers and sisters, if you are born of the same father or mother, if you're a family, you can always have those fights. But as fights come in, you can always reconcile, and reconciliation might bring a whole different image, a whole different environment. So what we saw happening about 4 years back it is not something that would rely on to think that these people can never relate well again. And it is also not very true that they may not fall out again. So as brothers and sisters to Rwanda, and these two presidents as being brothers, I do believe now it is high time we enjoyed the whole good environment that is put in place, the peace that is put in place, because we are not going to really see this Rwandese-Uganda relationship go to an end soon. We shall always remain as East African countries, as neighboring countries, as brothers and sisters. We've got so many Rwandese origin in Uganda, Rwandese that have got their origins in Uganda, but also we have other Ugandans the other side. So at the end of the day, I believe this is good for Uganda. It is also not surprising this man, President Museveni, as being welcomed in a magnitude he was welcomed. This shows that he's a kind of brother to President Kagame, who's an elder brother that is supposed to be listened to. Trust me, when His Excellency President Paul Kagame came to Uganda, he never received such kind of welcome.
I just believe that now there is this other question before I tell you that. There is this other question. One of the claims people made when the Hutu fought the Tutsi in 59 was that the League of Nations was very weak and not instrumental. To what extent has been the CHOGM, the members that like the body that governs members, colonized by Britain? To what extent has it been instrumental in settling our affairs? Because they are here. I've not had anything like these people coming out to retaliate member states.
The reconciliation came much earlier, before the Commonwealth, summit in Rwanda. So that means that one, that the Rwandese president and that of Uganda, there are two things, that they wanted to forge a good relationship to show the world that we are living peacefully, we are one, if it is forged kind of relationship anyway. Just like if you received visitors at home, you would not want to show your dirty linen to them. But two, that this relationship may not have been just a forged relationship out of selfishness and out of trivial interest. Maybe it is a kind of relationship that came in as a result of fulfilling national interests of both Ugandan citizenry and Rwandese citizenry. As to whether the Commonwealth
heads of government,
yes, as whether is it Commonwealth heads of government summit in Rwanda did play a big role or not
in that scenario alone. In some other scenarios elsewhere.
I think to me it did play some role, because if it was behind it that these two brothers thought we must reconcile, not to show that we are these neighbors that are at war, that are in a conflict, I believe that is a positive role. And secondly, I think it has cemented it all. When we see Rwandese being on the side of the roads, or being on the roadsides, welcoming President Museveni, and of course welcoming him back home as a hero, I do think this leaves President Kagame with very many questions but a few answers if he dared to conflict with President Museveni again, because this would bring him trouble at home with his nationals. With them, they are okay with the president of Uganda. I wonder how he would handle such a situation.
Well, that has been it for today. And if I had a chance to inform the president, he has someone that will always defend, and that is me. not anyone else. Well, that has been it. That has been it for today.
Bora.